To be honest, I liked the PlayStation Vita when it first came out. It was very innovative, but sadly, there weren't many good exclusives for it. Uncharted Golden Abyss, however, was one of the good ones. Unlike the rest of the franchise, this one was developed by another developer, in this case, Bend Studio, who also created the annoying turd known as Resistance Retribution. Luckily, they don't make the same mistakes here because Golden Abyss actually feels true to form. The game begins with one of the worst in medias res openings I've seen in gaming. We see Nate climb around, shoot bad guys that work for some villain, and then Nate gets blasted by a guy with an RPG. Well, gee, I sure hope he's okay. Even when we reach that point in the story, Nate simply brushes himself off and keeps going as if nothing ever happened. I bring this up first because it's the only thing I'm going to hate, since the rest of the game is pretty solid most of the time. The story is set as a prequel, and as we go back a few weeks before Nate is blasted, we see him traveling with the same villain named Jason Dante, voiced by Jason Spizak. True to Uncharted, he's a very entertaining character with great voice work and personality, especially with his taste in shoes, which would normally be made of some exotic animal. In this case, it's goddamn sea turtle.
He's got these clean.
Those are fancy.
Yeah.
Sell men's shoes where you got those?
Oh, very funny. Mr. Nathan Drake, always good for a laugh. Hey, look at these. Sea turtle. You know how much they sent me back?
What's the matter? Couldn't find your baby hippo boots?
Also true to Uncharted, Nate and Dante are business partners in search of treasure, of course. Nothing is really stated as to how they met or what their partnership is like, so I guess that part is open for interpretation. We are then introduced to Dante's other partner, a woman named Marissa Chase, voiced by Christine Lakin. She doesn't completely trust Dante, so she and Nate reluctantly form a partnership. As they explore the dig site and discover clues, Chase shows Nate a golden amulet left behind by her archaeologist grandfather who had died of terminal cancer. However, before his death, he had followed the trail of the Sete Cidades, who were a Christian group devoted to finding the 7 cities of gold. The group is then interrupted when Dante's real employer arrives, a criminal warlord named Roberto Guerrero, voiced by J.B. Blanc. He then captures them, and once Nate escapes the compound with Chase's help, they regroup and then set off on a trail to find the golden city of Quivera. The story is a little forgettable, but I like how it sort of diverts from the original formula since there are no major civilizations, no evil curses, and no monsters. I also like most of the characters. Nolan North and Richard McGonigal return as Nate and Sully, and of course their voice work is always good. As I said, Dante's voice work and acting are fun, but Chase is easily one of the best side characters in the game since she actually has personality, an engaging backstory, and doesn't nag you that much. But even when she does, it's usually played for laughs, so she's definitely not a bland version of Elena. Guerrero, on the other hand, is very forgettable. I mean, his design and voice work are fine, but his character is poorly developed. He's not intelligent like Marlowe or sadistic like Lazarevich. He just comes across as the former general who wants to find the treasure to fund some kind of unspecified revolution. It's not really clear what he wants to do, but he simply wants to regain his lost honor, however that works. Motion capture is still used to the fullest extent just like the console games, and it works just as well. The characters look good and move in very believable ways. Whenever there's a touch, it looks very real, so nothing is truly lost. I especially like this one scene where Nate and Chase hug. You can really feel the emotion in this, so the overall acting definitely gets an A. I know some features had to be sacrificed since this is a handheld game, but it does make full use of the Vita's features. For example, you can climb up cliffs traditionally, or you can trace a path over the screen and watch Nate move automatically. There are a few minigames that use the touchscreen controls in fun ways too, where you can inspect objects and wipe the dirt off them, or create charcoal rubbings. The puzzles are also a really fun challenge, and I especially love piecing together torn documents and charcoal rubbings. There are also a ton of collectibles throughout the game, including optional photographs that you can take, as well as a ton of treasures such as turquoise, jade, and a lot of other items. But rather than simply being cool to look at, they're all grouped together and each item has a special description, and when you complete a full set, a little mystery is revealed for them, which is really awesome. At one point, there's a very immersive moment when you have to hold the Vita's rear camera to a bright light in order to reveal symbols on a piece of paper. Moments like this really add to the immersion, and it's much more impressive than the time Assassin's Creed Liberation tried it. The environments are beautifully animated, especially in the lighting. There's always a good amount of lighting that always makes the environments look more appealing, especially at night. The textures on the fire are also pretty immersive, and admittingly, I do like the water textures. Yeah, I know it's very simple looking, but the way it moves and sounds is very believable, so I can excuse it. The soundtrack is also amazing. I think a few tracks from previous games were recycled, but the new score is just as fitting. Golden Abyss is easily one of the best exclusives on the Vita, or rather, one that is still exclusive. Bend really put a lot of care and effort into it, and it really pays off, since I can actually believe that this game is part of the overall canon. It keeps the same gameplay mostly intact, the characters still feel in character, and you get the great kind of story that you can expect from Uncharted. If there was ever a reason that you would want to buy a Vita, I would say that this is a must-own.
Hey, Nate, I don't want to say anything, but how come we're suddenly going downriver? How is this? Oh, not to complain it, mind you. I'm used to this. Are you fishing pole and a good cigar?
Oh, crap. Sully, I had the map upside down. Paddle backwards.
What? What's the matter?
Just paddle backwards now!
Holy shit!